Imagine navigating the loss of a child at the same time that you're launching a new career and finding healing through tidying your home. I'm Karen Maurer, and this is Her Next Chapter, the weekly program that talks about women working through and thriving during transitions. My guest this week is Lisa Dickmann.
I was 29 weeks pregnant at the time when I was on my way to Chicago to do this training course with Marie Kondo to become a consultant and launch my new career. And we were in the car when I got a call from my OBGYN. It was a terminal diagnosis for my baby.
For my baby, oh.
And she was diagnosed with trisomy 18. And the situation, it didn't look good. It was I just felt plunged deep into grief. And
this is while you're driving. Was your husband with you?
Yes, he was driving.
Fortunately.
We had pulled over. We stopped at a rest stop. And I just was in tears all the way there.
Of course.
Just completely devastated about this news. And so I somehow put myself together, and the next day I walked into this seminar.
Oh, my goodness.
And if you know anything about Marie Kondo's method, the philosophy is spark joy.
Okay.
And so here I am, just in this environment where everyone is happy and everything is sparking joy for everyone. And it was...
And you've got this devastating issue that you're dealing with.
Yes.
What, did you just have to kind of put a fake face on, or did you tell people what was going on?
Yes and no. I mostly kept it to myself, but the presenter just encouraged us to be present in the moment. And I always encourage people to be present in the moment because you feel joy right here and right now.
Right.
You're not going to find joy outside of this present moment. And so I was able to just put aside as much as I could and just be in the space and feel the energy and the joy. And I realized almost toward the end of the seminar, it was 3 days long, that it was the perfect place for me to be at this weekend. It was
to be surrounded by that philosophy and find comfort in being present in the moment.
Yeah. And
it takes an amazing amount of courage and strength, and being completely caught off guard. Obviously, this is something you can't prepare for. You don't want to prepare for something like this.
Right.
So, I'm just amazed that you stayed there and you continued that journey of getting that certification.
Yeah. It didn't even occur to me to turn around.
Wow.
Like, that didn't...
That's when you know you're where you're supposed to be, right?
Right, exactly. And I woke up the third day of the seminar just completely grateful that I was there that weekend, that I had my baby. She was alive. I could feel her kicking, and I was going to have time with her. I would have time to prepare, and I was so grateful for Marie Kondo for inventing this whole method and sharing it with the world, so that I could be there then when I needed it the most, truly. And then I had this other thing to think about, launching a joyful career.
Amazing, amazing. So trying to find joy in really what's likely the most devastating thing that could ever happen to you. So tell us what happened next when you got home, or kind of what was the next step of the journey.
Yeah, so we had about 10 weeks until her due date, and it was just like a regrouping. I also was trying to get the hours that I needed of working with people, tidying their homes before the baby came.
Wow.
And so there was a lot going on, a lot to prepare for. And I just focused on loving the baby as much as I could, informing myself about, the many things that could happen, the many different options that could be my life going forward. And
did you do that on your own? Did you find, was your spouse, obviously he's suffering as well, and you've got other children, and, Or were there support groups? Was it, your family, your faith? What kept you going through those 10 weeks?
Yeah, all of it. My spouse was very supportive. We were going through it together. We were going to appointments together, being with our children together and supporting them through it, what was difficult for them as well.
Sure.
And once the event happened, her birth and her death, there was grief support available to us, and there was a lot of support through our doctors and everything. So
wonderful. Well, and that just tells us how important it is to show up for people. And you don't know what other people are going through at any day. The woman standing, nobody knew standing next to you in the grocery store the grief that you were going through. And so somebody just being kind or giving you a smile or giving you grace maybe when you didn't smile, because you just don't know what someone's going through. And that support can just mean so much, right? When somebody's stuck in what we call kind of that messy middle. And how do you not stay stuck there? So after your beautiful daughter was born and she passed, and the grieving, which doesn't ever stop. I mean, I've known you for a while, and I know this is, it's part of your story, and it's part of who you are, and she'll always be part of you. How do you then add joy to your life? And how do you, beyond celebrating her, of course, find that joy in Marie Kondo?
Yes. Well, I think it's actually very easy to find joy in Marie Kondo's philosophy. You use this question, does this spark joy? And you can apply it to everything in your home and let go of everything that's weighing you down, that does not bring you joy. And you're left with the things that support you, the beautiful things that allow your life to be as wonderful as it can be. And so you can apply it to things, but you can also apply it to relationships, to your job. You can apply it very broadly to your life and choose joy every day.
And I think it's interesting you said relationships, because there's always this kind of recent wave of clean out the toxicity in your life and get rid of these toxic relationships. Mm-hmm. But this is saying not only is it a toxic relationship, but even if there's just a relationship that isn't bringing you joy. We were talking earlier, we only have so many hours in the day, and to truly be present for someone, we can only do that with so many people. So really finding those relationships that give you joy and that you're bringing joy to, I think is so important to recognize.
Yes, it's definitely important to take a step back and notice what brings you joy in your life. And so I actually work as a coach in the KonMari Club. It's one of the things that we offer under the umbrella of Marie Kondo and her philosophy and business. And as a coach, we tell everyone in the club, hey, we can review our day. So let's take a look back. What made you feel most alive every day? What drained you the most? And we often find the same things are draining us every day.
Right.
Oh, I can change those things. In a lot of cases, there's something we can do to make our life better. And we might only stop to notice what that is if we pause a few minutes a day and notice what makes us feel alive and what makes us feel drained.
Yeah.
How can we show up better, and what lesson can we carry forward for
and that makes a ton of sense, because usually we're running and moving so fast that we don't take that time to reflect. Right. And I think a lot of people do, meditation or prayer in the morning to prepare for the day, but not that reflection, looking back and saying, how did my day go? And what do I need to do more of and less of? Yeah. I know since I've met you and learned about your company, which we'll talk about in a minute, I have looked around my house, I have looked around my life and said, what does bring me joy? What doesn't? What can I get rid of? What good could this do for somebody else when it's just, stuck on my shelf, or those clothes are sitting there at the bottom of the pile and they don't ever get cycled through, and they could help the tornado victims or help somebody that doesn't have any clothes. And so I've reframed how I look at things. Instead of, oh, I need a lot of options, it's what good could this do for somebody else? Tell us about your company.
Yes, my company is called Tidy Upgrade Home Therapy. When you tidy your home, you upgrade your life. And it really is true, as you've seen in reality.
Yep, I'm a fan.
And there is true joy to be had at letting go of what's weighing you down. I've had, clients who I'm taking their donations at the end of the day, and they're out on their front lawn jumping for joy. I feel so light now.
Right.
And that is the kind of response that people can have to the magic of tidying up.
Yeah. When you take those bags out of your house, and I always look at them and think, gosh, all this was sitting in my house, and very rarely do I miss it, or very rarely do I say, oh, shoot, I wish I would have kept that.
Yes.
But I think you've said one time, you can always go rebuy it if there's something that you desperately needed. But, I don't think my husband's quite on board yet, but I've always gone back and I said, all this stuff around is just cluttering our head, it's cluttering our space, we're not using it, and if we have it, why do we have it? What other purpose is it serving?
Yeah, and that is another instance of taking a step back, asking what truly do I need, what brings me joy, and letting go of what doesn't. And it does take a little time to do that tidying and to make space for it to happen, and then as a result, you make space for your life.
Right.
And it's totally worth all the time and effort.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think you don't realize how much something drains you.
Yes.
And, if you have less dishes, then there's less dishes to do. If you have less clothes, there's less laundry to do. It all ties together.
Yes.
And even from a financial perspective, you look at what people spend on things that they don't need, that aren't even bringing them joy and doing something positive for them. So I love kind of in theme, the planning and preparation that you're doing for your life that you don't even realize. And when you said that you can control your life, to a degree, this is something you can control. You can control your environment and the joy that you're living with, so that if you do have devastating news or something happens to you, you're at least in a better environment to deal with that.
Yeah, and Karen, it's almost ironic that the moment, the pinnacle moment is, like tragedy can strike us at any time when we're ready for it or not.
Right.
But tidying is definitely our home environment. It's something we can control, at least our own objects. And I think it's a great idea to get that joy today.
Right.
Why rob yourself of this joy you could be experiencing by putting something off that you could do now?
Right. And so for people that don't know how to do it or are overwhelmed, I think that's probably something you run into. They hire you and you come in and, kind of walk us through that experience, what it looks like. Because I think it would be kind of odd to have somebody else making those choices for me.
Oh,
of
yeah,
what to
no,
get
I'm
rid
not
of.
making
So how
the
does that
choices.
work?
It's always the client's choice what to get rid of. And I am a coach. I'm a guide. I'm a teacher. I am emotional support, like a counselor. So I am just there to guide you through the process that would otherwise be overwhelming. And suddenly, with a experienced guide, it is fun and easy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely need to make it fun. I think we'd have to pop out a glass of wine or something and have a girls' night to get it done.
Right.
But,
people are like, oh, I thought it was going to be horrible, but it was actually amazing, and I had such a good time.
Well, that's all because of you, I guess, and your personality, and they have a good time with it.
Yeah,
and,
it would not be the same.
Yeah, and it's probably just as fulfilling. Now, you mentioned this group that Marie Kondo has. Is that something that anybody can join where you're a coach?
Yeah, the KonMari Club. It's
and
open.
Is that here in St. Louis? Is it nationwide?
Online.
Or online?
It's international. We have group members. I have one from Australia now in my group. I have members in Europe and the United States. So, yeah, it's a very diverse group. of people.
And you meet virtually every so often?
Every other week we meet for an hour and a half, and we also have amazing guest speakers in the club every month.
Wow. And it's all about finding joy, or is it more about tidying your home?
It's about both.
Okay.
We do these parties called Tidy Festivals once a month where we get together as a group and feed off each other's energy while we're tidying our space online with other people. And so there's definitely support for your tidying journey, but it's really life support.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you had an opportunity to provide one or two tips to get somebody started on this, what would you tell them to do? How does somebody get started tidying?
Yes.
And finding joy?
It's making that commitment that I'm going to do this,
yeah.
and I'm setting a time, a date with myself on my calendar, or I'm reaching out, I'm going to tidyupgrade.com and filling out the contact form so I can work with Lisa. It's making that commitment. You can even announce on Facebook, I'm going to be tidying my home. This is the date and time I'm working on it.
I love that.
I recommend setting aside a good chunk of time, like 5 hours, if your brain can handle 5 hours, because you can get a lot of tidying done in 5 hours. Yeah. And the other thing I would recommend is during that chunk of time, if you find something sentimental, you just put that down and keep going with, I use a category strategy.
You mean don't go down the rabbit hole of memories and get caught in all the pictures and all the stories?
Right. To stay focused, you want to keep working in your category. So I always start with clothing, and that is an easy category to start with because we usually have pretty strong feelings about our clothing. And so if you're working with that question, does it spark joy? You'll feel that joy or you'll feel that drain right away.
And what about people that keep 3 sizes in their closet just in case?
Well, let me ask you, Karen, do clothes that don't fit spark joy?
No, they don't.
Almost everyone
Absolutely
says
not.
that.
Right.
Yeah, and so that's really the answer.
If it doesn't fit, get rid of it because it'll fit someone else, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you bring this to the community. I know you've done several presentations talking about it, and I know it makes a huge impact on teaching people to take that step back where they can find joy and, apply that to their life every day.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Let me ask you a question kind of taken back a minute. Do you feel like there was any other way that you could have been prepared for the tragedy and for that news? Or do you feel like, ironically, you just were kind of as prepared as you could have been?
Yes, it was just very serendipitous. I feel like the whole thing was sort of like orchestrated by a higher power, and that
there you go. Just
things just
kind of releasing and
out.
having faith and understanding that this is the journey.
Yeah, and we can
that you're on.
Right. It's very healing for all of us to be in that present moment and love and connect with what is our reality. Because we don't always like our reality, but when we can accept and love what is given to us, then that is a healing path forward.
Wow, that was amazing. I don't think I couldn't have said that better myself. I absolutely love that. Well, with that note, I'm going to thank you very much for your vulnerability, your honesty, your transparency. Sharing such a painful story has brought so much enlightenment to people, and you're truly what we're all about. So thank you so much, Lisa. If you can relate to this story, if you have questions, if you'd like to reach out to Lisa at tidyupgrade.com, or if you'd like to reach out to me, please feel free to follow, subscribe on YouTube. And this is what we do. We help women work through transitions and thrive in those transitions. This is Her Next Chapter, and we will see you next week.